Somewhere, someone told you to wait your turn, to dim your light, to soften your voice so others could feel more comfortable in their silence, but not anymore. Because this is your moment, not just to show up, but to arrive like you belong, like you've always belonged. You don't need the world's permission to walk in power. You don't need applause to stand tall. You only need one thing, to act as if you are the best and own it. Why? Because the world reflects back what you believe about yourself. If you carry yourself like you're meant to rise, the ground beneath you will make way. If you speak with truth, the silence will lean in. This isn't just a message, it's a mirror. And by the time this speech ends, I promise you'll stop shrinking and start owning the greatness that's been yours all along. Stay with me. This one is for your soul. You were not born hesitant. You did not arrive in this world unsure of your worth. That came later, learned through whispers of judgment, through the echo of someone else's fear spoken into your promise. Somewhere along the line, the world wrapped your light in layers of not yet, too much, and wait your turn. But deep down, beneath all of that noise, the truth never changed. Confidence isn't something you borrow. It isn't something you wear only on special days. It is not a costume you put on to impress others. Confidence is your birthright. You don't have to earn what you already are. You don't have to fake what's been sleeping inside of you. The problem is not that you aren't powerful, it's that you've been taught to deny that power. You've been told to tone it down, keep it modest, play it small. But who benefits when you shrink? Certainly not you. The moment you begin to reclaim your confidence is the moment you stop asking for permission to exist in your fullness. The moment you begin to own who you are without flinching is the moment the world begins to shift in your favor, not because it has changed, but because you did. You see, there is a difference between arrogance and confidence. Arrogance is loud because it's insecure. Confidence is still because it's rooted. Arrogance needs to be seen. Confidence knows it already is. When you act as if you are the best, you are not pretending. You are returning. You are realigning with a truth that existed long before the world taught you to doubt it. The truth is, the greatness within you is not new. It's just been waiting for your agreement. And here's the thing. Confidence is not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being the most grounded. It's about walking in and not needing the spotlight because you are the light. It's about knowing that even in silence, your presence speaks volumes. It's about standing in your truth without needing anyone else to nod first. That kind of inner fire cannot be manufactured. It cannot be gifted to you by praise, and it cannot be taken away by criticism. It's yours, all yours, but life has a way of testing that truth. It'll send you into rooms where no one claps. It'll place you in situations where your value is questioned, where your talents are overlooked, where your soul is asked to prove itself again and again. And in those moments, you have a choice, to shrink or to remember. Remember who you were before the world got to you, before you edited yourself to be more acceptable, before you learned to fear your own shine. Confidence is not something you earn by ticking boxes or reaching milestones. It's something you claim the moment you decide you are worthy, right now as you are. Not when you lose weight, not when you get the job, not when the people who ignored you finally recognize your worth. Right now, right here, because who you are is enough, more than enough. The most powerful people you admire, the ones who walk with certainty in command rooms, they didn't wait for the world to hand them a crown. They crowned themselves, and then they acted like it. They walked like it. They spoke like it. That's what you must do, not in imitation, but in remembrance. Act as if you are the best, not because you're better than others, but because you finally stopped being worse to yourself. When you truly own your confidence, it changes everything. Your relationships shift because you no longer settle. Your goals expand because you stop second guessing. Your energy transforms because you're no longer leaking power trying to prove something. You become solid, unshakable, not because life gets easier, but because you get stronger. And when the winds come, and they will, you don't get blown away. You anchor yourself in your truth. It starts with how you speak to yourself, with what you allow and what you release. It starts in the mirror, in the moments no one else sees. When you remind yourself that you are not pretending, that you are not hoping, that you are not asking to be seen. You are already here. You are already worthy. And your light is not too much. It is exactly what this world needs. So don't put your confidence on like a jacket you only wear on special occasions. Let it be your second skin. Let it live in your walk, your voice, your decisions. Let it stretch into every part of your life until it feels like home, because it is. And you, dear soul, were never meant to borrow your power. You were meant to own it, long before your words form a sentence, long before your mouth utters a sound. Your energy has already stepped into the room. It's there in your posture, your pace, your presence. You don't have to say a word. Your energy speaks for you. It introduces you before your name is called. It tells a story before you even begin to speak it. You've felt it before. Someone walks in and the atmosphere shifts. You can't explain it, but something in you pays attention. You sit up straighter. You feel the difference. That's energy, that's presence. It doesn't ask for permission to be felt, it just is. And what's more powerful is this: you carry that same ability, that same force, that same unseen language that speaks to the world about who you are. You may not realize it, but every step you take carries a vibration. Every choice, every thought, every belief is silently building the signal you send out into the world. And that signal is read long before anyone hears your story. You teach people how to treat you not by the words you say, but by the energy you carry. You say, "I'm worthy" with your boundaries. You say, "I believe in myself" with how you walk. You say, "I'm ready" by how you show up when no one is watching. Your energy is your truth, and the most striking truth is felt, not heard. You can memorize a speech, wear the best suit, hold the perfect smile, but if your energy whispers insecurity, doubt, or fear, the world will hear that louder than your voice. People don't respond to polish. They respond to presence. They respond to what feels real, what feels certain, what feels grounded. This is why it's not enough to act confident. You have to believe it at a cellular level. You have to walk into the room like you belong, not because someone told you so, but because you know so, because your energy doesn't lie. It will always reflect your inner state. If you're hiding behind fear, people will feel hesitation. If you're rooted in your power, people will feel stability. You can't fake it. You can only become it. That's why your inner work matters more than your outer performance. You want to shine? Start by checking your energy. Is it heavy with self-doubt? Is it weighed down by what others think? Or is it light with faith, full with purpose, alive with belief in yourself? Because when your energy is aligned, you don't have to convince people. You don't need to chase opportunities. They find you. They feel you. Look around at the people who move through life with impact. They're not always the loudest. They're not always the most dressed up or the most celebrated, but they carry themselves with a quiet power that cannot be denied. That power isn't in their status. It's in their spirit. It's how they hold space, how they breathe without apology, how they look you in the eye like they have nothing to prove. You have that power too. It lives in you, waiting to be activated, not by the world's approval, but by your own decision. Decide to stop shrinking. Decide to stop doubting. Decide that the room needs your light just as much as it needs anyone else's. And then walk in like the room was built with you in mind, not out of arrogance, but out of alignment, out of the understanding that you don't have to be anyone else to be powerful. You just have to be fully yourself. Your energy becomes magnetic the moment you stop filtering yourself. When you're real, when you're rooted, when you're not pretending to be small just to make others comfortable, that's when your energy commands attention. Not the kind that screams, but the kind that pulls, that draws people in, that says, I know who I am and I don't need to perform to be seen. Hey, the world is noisy. People talk all day, every day. But what's remembered isn't always the words. It's how someone made you feel. And how do we feel that? Through energy, through the unspoken, through the silent song each of us carries. Let your song be bold. Let it be brave. Let it be full of truth. Because whether you realize it or not, you are always speaking. So the next time you enter a room, don't rush to impress. Let your energy walk ahead of you and do the work. Let it speak of your worth, your wisdom, your presence. Let it make the room pause, not because you shouted, but because you showed up fully. When your energy is right, your silence can be louder than a speech. And sometimes that's all the world needs to remember your name. There is a common misunderstanding that greatness has to be loud, that the most powerful voice is the one that echoes through the room with the most force. But true power does not shout. It resonates. It doesn't overwhelm. It reaches. And often it's not the loudest person who leaves the deepest impression. It's the one who speaks with clarity, with truth, and with unwavering self-awareness. Loudness can be mistaken for certainty, but volume does not equal value. You don't need to outshout the noise to be heard. You just need to be sure of what you're saying and who you are when you say it. The best among us are not the ones clamoring for attention, but the ones who move with intention. Their words are few, but they are full. Their steps are quiet, but they are firm. They don't demand the spotlight. They simply stand where they are, and the light finds them. In a world that constantly encourages you to perform, to brand, to broadcast your every move, it takes courage to be clear, to speak only when you have something to say, to act only when the action is aligned with your truth. Clarity is not weakness. It is strength refined. It is the ability to rise without rushing, to shine without competing, to lead without shouting orders. Clarity comes from knowing who you are beneath the noise, beyond the roles, outside the expectations others placed on you. It is rooted in self-trust, not self-promotion. The clearest voices speak with conviction, not because they are trying to convince you, but because they've already convinced themselves. That kind of clarity doesn't try to dominate, it simply is, and that is enough. There are people who will walk into a room and list every accomplishment, every success, every win. And there are others who will walk in and say nothing at all, yet somehow everyone turns toward them. Not because they are loud, but because they are clear. They are steady. They carry a presence that speaks louder than words. And that presence was not bought. It was built quietly, consistently, with clarity. If you ever feel unseen in a world full of performers, don't change your volume, change your alignment. Tune yourself not to the noise of the world, but to the truth inside you. Let your clarity cut through the chaos. Let your truth stand taller than the performance. Because while others are trying to be impressive, the best are focused on being real. And here's the gift of clarity. It simplifies everything. When you are clear about who you are, you stop chasing validation. You stop needing to prove. You stop bending yourself into shapes you were never meant to fit. You speak only when your words are necessary. You move only when the movement serves your purpose. You no longer waste energy trying to be seen because your presence makes its own introduction. The best don't try to win every argument. They don't force their way into every conversation. They are not driven by ego. They are guided by intention. And when they speak, people listen, not because of how loud they are, but because of how aligned they are with what they believe. That's the difference between noise and clarity. Noise demands attention. Clarity commands respect. You don't have to raise your voice when your spirit is rooted. You don't have to shout over others when your truth is sharp. The more clear you become, the less you feel the need to convince. The less you entertain distractions, the more peace you feel in silence. And from that peace comes the ability to speak powerfully with few words, to move gracefully with strong steps, to lead with vision rather than volume. You've seen people who say everything and mean nothing, and you've met those who say very little and move something deep in you. That's the power of clarity. It doesn't try to win the moment. It shapes the atmosphere. It lives not in noise, but in certainty. And when you carry it, you no longer need to be the loudest in the room. You just need to be the truest in it. Greatness isn't about who can gather the most attention. It's about who can stand with the most truth. In a world obsessed with more, with faster, with louder, the clearest voice is often the quietest. But it is also the one that echoes longest after the crowd has gone. Be that voice, be that presence, be that truth that cuts through the noise, not by being louder, but by being unmistakably real. They will question you, not just once, but many times. They'll question your path, your choices, your voice, your right to be bold, your right to be different. They'll ask you, sometimes with words, more often with silence, who do you think you are? And when they do, let them. Let the doubts come. Let the misunderstandings pass through. Let the whispers float in the air like smoke. But whatever you do not you join them. It's not the world's doubt that breaks you. It's your own. It's when you begin to agree with their uncertainty. It's when their questions become your inner dialogue. It's when you sit alone and echo their voices inside your own mind. That's the danger, not their disbelief, but your acceptance of it. You see, people don't question what they fully understand. They question what challenges their limits, what doesn't fit in their boxes, what dares to be different. And if you are living fully, truly, and unapologetically, you will be questioned. It's not a sign you're doing something wrong. It's a sign you're disrupting comfort zones, including your own. And let's be honest, some of the people who question you the loudest are wrestling with their own unused power. They see in you what they buried in themselves. They see your rise, and it reminds them of their standstill. Your clarity unsettles their confusion. Your boldness challenges their excuses. So they question you because it's easier than confronting their own reflection. Don't take that personally. Let it pass through you like wind through open windows. Let them wonder. Let them doubt. But do not pick up their doubt and wear it as your own. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your purpose. You don't need to translate your vision for those who refuse to see. You don't have to apologize for your evolution, your ambition, your resilience. You are not required to dull your shine so others can feel comfortable in the shadows. When they ask, why you? Answer only with action. Keep walking, keep building, keep becoming, because the ones who need to understand will, and the ones who never try were never meant to. There will be days, though, when the noise gets loud, when the questions aren't just coming from outside, but from within, when your confidence shakes and your path blurs. On those days, it's tempting to second-guess everything, to ask yourself the very questions you've already answered with your living. Am I enough? Is this dream too big? What if I fail? And that's when you have to be still enough to remember who you are, still enough to separate your voice from the noise, still enough to stand on the ground you've already walked, knowing you didn't come this far to turn on yourself, because your job is not to silence the world, it's to not let it silence you. Your job is to stay in agreement with your truth, even when others disagree. To stand in your knowing, even when they call it delusion, to move forward anyway, even when you're moving alone. Let them question your path. Just don't question your ability to walk it. Let them doubt your timing. Just don't you doubt the seed you planted. Let them misunderstand your fire. Just don't pour water on it to make them feel safe. You're not too much. You're not too far. You're not too late. You're right on time, and your presence in this world is no accident. What you carry cannot be defined by the narrow vision of those who refuse to dream. Your calling doesn't need to make sense to them. It just needs to be real to you. And if you've heard that inner whisper, felt that deep pull, known without proof that there's something more, you must protect that, guard it like sacred ground, because it is. The world has enough people who join the chorus of doubt. It doesn't need one more voice added to that noise, especially not yours. So let them talk, let them wonder, let them doubt. And while they do, you build, you speak, you rise, you live. Because one day they will no longer ask, "Who do you think you are?" They will say, "I always knew you would." And you? You will smile, not because they finally see it, but because you never stop seeing it in yourself. There is a shift that happens when you stop walking into rooms hoping to be chosen and start walking into them knowing you belong. When you stop asking for permission and start carrying yourself like the permission. When you stop wondering if you're enough and begin to embody the truth that you already are. That's what it means to walk like the answer, not the question. The world will always try to keep you guessing. It will whisper reasons to doubt, reasons to shrink, reasons to wait. It will try to make you second guess your worth, your value, your voice. But walking like the question keeps you in a state of hesitation. It leaves you looking outward, searching for signs, scanning faces for approval, waiting for someone else to declare your worth. And as long as you walk like the question, the world will respond with uncertainty, because energy mirrors belief. But when you walk like the answer, you move with rootedness. You walk into a room not trying to fit in, but trusting that your presence shifts the atmosphere simply because you showed up. You speak not to impress, but to express. You don't chase validation. You radiate assurance, and that's not arrogance. That's alignment. That's what it looks like when someone finally stops apologizing for being themselves. You've spent enough time wondering if you're ready, if you're worthy, if you're qualified. Here's the truth. Readiness is not a feeling, it's a decision. And worthiness is not earned through suffering or striving, it's your birthright. You're not waiting to become the answer. You already are. You are the solution to a problem, the vision behind a mission, the voice that makes things clear, the presence that brings what others are missing. You're not the maybe. You're the yes that's been preparing in silence. Walking like the answer is not about perfection. It's not about having it all figured out. It's about carrying yourself as someone who trusts that they are becoming, even in the mess, even in the process. It's about being rooted enough in who you are that uncertainty doesn't shake you, criticism doesn't shrink you, and failure doesn't define you. Because when you walk like the answer, you don't need to know every step. You just need to keep stepping. There's something magnetic about a person who walks with this kind of quiet knowing. They don't rush. They don't explain themselves endlessly. They don't try to convince anyone to believe in them. They are the calm in the storm, the steady hand in a room full of chaos. And people feel it, because when you stop questioning yourself, others stop questioning you too. Too often we shrink ourselves in the name of humility. We play small so others feel big. We downplay our light because we were taught that shining too brightly might make others uncomfortable. But humility is not the absence of confidence. It's the presence of truth. It's knowing who you are without needing to shout it. It's walking like the answer without needing applause. You don't have to prove your worth. You only have to embody it. That means standing tall even when your knees tremble. It means speaking your truth even when your voice shakes. It means moving with intention even when you're still healing. You don't wait until you feel perfect. You show up anyway. That's what the answer does. It shows up. It fills the gap. It brings clarity. It makes things whole. There will always be people who doubt you, but don't you dare join them. Let the world wrestle with your confidence. Let them misinterpret your power as pride. Let them question your boldness. But while they wrestle, you walk, you move, you rise, you act. Because you're not here to be everyone's favorite. You're here to be the answer to what you were born for. Start showing up like you believe in yourself. Start dressing, speaking, living like someone who remembers who they are. You don't have to say it out loud, but let your posture speak. Let your energy announce it. Let your silence confirm it. Walk into every space with the inner knowing, I am not the question anymore. I am the answer that doesn't need to shout. And the beautiful part is, when you start walking like the answer, you give others permission to do the same. Your courage calls theirs forward. Your presence reminds them of their own. Your light ignites what's been waiting in them. You're not just the answer for your own life. You become the answer for others who've been searching for what you now carry with confidence. And all of that begins the moment you stop doubting and start walking in the fullness of who you are. To own it is more than just a moment of confidence. It's a way of life. It is the choice to live your truth out loud, to show up fully without shrinking, to be exactly who you are without explanation or excuse. When you truly own it, you stop asking the world for permission to be bold, brilliant, broken, beautiful, or becoming. You simply are all of it, all at once, and you make no apology for the journey. The world does not always make it easy to live this way. From a young age, we are taught to tone ourselves down, to soften the edges, to keep it comfortable for others. We learn how to be polite, how to be accepted, how to mold ourselves into what's expected. But somewhere along the line, many of us forget that we were never made to blend in. We were born to stand out. We were not created to hide our gifts. We were called to pour them into the world without hesitation. Owning it means saying yes to your full expression. It means honoring the fire inside you, even when others fear its heat. It means wearing your voice like armor, not a disguise. And it means understanding that you don't need to be fixed before you can be free. You can be both a masterpiece and a work in progress at the same time. You don't need to water yourself down for the comfort of the world. The world needs your flavor just as it is, rich, raw, and real. There is no pride in pretending. There is no nobility in denying your greatness. You were not born to play it safe. You were born to take up space with your spirit, to flood the room with your authenticity, to walk with a head held high, not in arrogance, but in acknowledgement of the miracle you are. That means embracing your scars and your shine. That means celebrating your strength and your softness. That means owning your wins and your wounds. Too often, we wait. We wait for the right time, the right body, the right support, the perfect moment. But owning your life means living it right now, as you are, where you are, with what you have. You don't need more to begin. What you need is the courage to say, this is me, and I am not sorry. And yes, when you own it, not everyone will cheer. Some will misunderstand your confidence as arrogance. Some will try to dim your light because they are still searching for their own. Some will whisper, point, roll their eyes, or doubt your path. But don't let their fear make you abandon your fire. You were not built to shrink. You were built to soar. Live loud. That doesn't mean you have to be the noisiest person in the room. It means you live clearly, unmistakably, unapologetically. It means your energy speaks before your words do. It means your presence lingers long after you've left the room. That's what it looks like when someone owns their truth. They become unforgettable, not because they tried to impress, but because they dared to be real, live proud. Be proud of the pain that shaped you, the path that grew you, the soul that survived every setback. Be proud of the lessons that humbled you and the resilience that kept you rising. Pride doesn't mean perfection. It means presence. It means being fully present in who you are and standing tall in the story you carry. And above all, live without apology. Stop shrinking yourself to fit into boxes that weren't built for you. Stop translating your truth into a language more palatable for people who never took the time to understand you. Stop explaining your choices, your dreams, your boundaries, your desires. They are yours, and they are valid. You do not owe the world an apology for living fully. You owe yourself the freedom to do so. Owning it is an everyday decision. It's not about being fearless. It's about being bold anyway. It's about walking into your life like you belong in every inch of it. It's about refusing to live in the shadows of other people's expectations. And it's about knowing deep in your bones that you don't have to become worthy. You already are. So step out. Take the stage of your own life. Live it loud, proud, and without apology. Be too much, be too honest, be too passionate, be too kind, be too strong, be too alive. Because in a world that often rewards the quiet suffering of self-denial, the most radical thing you can do is show up fully as yourself and own every bit of it.